Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I'm Brad. We're here to get started and talk about some trade news. We had some things that happened today. There's some trade rumors. There's some people that are wanting to make trades. And it does kind of feel like every team kind of is in like that weird spot where they're no one's really happy right now. Besides the Winnipeg Jets and the Minnesota Wild, who we're going to talk about, who I thought were okay, but they're like, nah, let's make some changes. Let's make some adjustments here. And we're actually going to start off with them because this is the biggest trade that's happened all year. And it's something that you're like, holy smokes, like I didn't see this coming, because you're like, hey, this is a huge trade right now. So I'm going to pull this up on, I'll pull it up right here on Puckpedia. Let me just do 1 second and we'll present it. It is the David Jiricek trade. The Minnesota Wild end up picking up David Jiricek. They end up trading. It was difficult to read that. I'll scroll in a little bit. Okay, you have Minnesota Wild are getting David Jiricek and a 5th round pick. And Columbus Blue Jackets are getting back Daemon Hunt, a 2025 first round pick, Minnesota's, a 2026 third round pick, that's the Avs, a 2026 fourth round pick, that's Toronto's, and a 2027 second round pick, which is Minnesota's. So what you can think about is that Bill Guerin is really looking to make some moves and really solidify his defense of the future. And he did not see Daemon Hunt in that, even though he is playing well in the AHL. I think he's looking at the upside of a David Jiricek, who was drafted 6th overall, 5th overall. Let me check with him. Pulling up his profile over here. Oh, goodness gracious. I have stats pulled. I'm not his position. 6th overall. Yep, 6th overall in 2022. So definitely the Minnesota Wild are looking at, supposedly they were very high on him and his production and everything. They're like, hey, I think we can get a lot out of him. So, and just looking at his AHL. Actually, well, let's go back to his 2022 season, just with the Cleveland Monsters, 22-23 season. And the reason I want to do that is kind of want to show you like what player he can be. And so what we're seeing with the AHL in 22-23 had 38 points in 55 games. So it's very good production for a defenseman. Also 36 penalty minutes, so you can kind of scrap it up a little bit. 6 goals, 32 assists. Then jumping up ahead, you got the Minnesota going up to his the NHL. So we're talking about 23-24 season. He played a good chunk up with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He actually played 43 games. He had 10 points, 1 goal, 9 assists. That's pretty good. Later in the other time that he was in there, in the AHL, he played 29 games. He had 19 points, 7 goals, 12 assists. Again, 19 points, 29 games in the AHL. Still really good production, right? So everything this year, yeah, like he's probably, and basically what they've said, the coaches down in the AHL for the Cleveland Monsters, which is the AHL affiliate for the Columbus Blue Jackets, are like, hey, David Jiricek has nothing else to learn down here. He's NHL ready, and there's just something with the coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're just not vibing right now, which is frustrating for a player like him, because he's like, dude, I want to play. I want to be a part of this team. I want to make an impact. And again, he wants to grow. If you have guys that are going to you don't want to keep guys over ripening in the AHL, because that isn't good for anybody. And so I'm actually gonna go to Columbus and see who I'm going to their depth chart, and I'm gonna tell you. I mean, we're gonna look at it and we're gonna say, okay, who are you? What's the issue here? Who can't you replace that? He's so valuable that you can't move him. Okay, mind you, David Jiricek is a left-handed defenseman. So you have Werenski. That's great, awesome. I get that. Actually, we'll share the screen instead. So I'm gonna show you right here. So we have Werenski. Here's the defense, right? You have Werenski, Fabro, who, by the way, Fabro they brought in off of waivers, right? A guy that just has 1 year left. Like, oh, we can take a flyer on him. Cool, great. The problem is now you're blocking your prospects, who is the goal. You don't want guys that are going to be here and gone, right? Like, yeah, you might be able to get like a 4th or 3rd round pick for Fabro. Great, like I understand that, but not at the detriment of your guys who you can trade, right? I think they're like, so you're looking at Werenski, you're definitely going to keep him, right? Provorov, you'll end up flipping him. You might be able to get a late first round pick for him, because he's 1 year left in his deal, right? You can retain salary, all that jazz. I understand that. Severson, you're not moving him. You have him for another 7 years. Damon Severson for 7 more years after this. He's already 30, so you're gonna have him until he's 37. That's rough. So moving on to Jordan Harris. Jordan Harris, you just got back in the line deal, and I understand he's a good young prospect and he's playing well too. But I'm like, okay, like cool. Like, what are you gonna do with it? And then you Christensen. Who is Christensen? The thing is, I usually know some guys that are decent, He's put up 5 points in 0 games, or in 0 games, 22 games. Went undrafted. Cool. You got a guy. Waive him. Waive this guy. He is considered in the depth chart. He's considered a third pair lefty. That's how good he is. He's a third pair lefty. And I'm like, okay, he's 25. Maybe you don't want to lose him, but you probably won't lose him. Bring up a David Jiricek and play him in that bottom left position. Again, the problem is the thing is a Jiricek thrives on the power play. And so you're gonna just put him third pair minutes and not play. Like you're probably gonna put Provorov on the power play. You're gonna put Werenski on the power play. So I understand not wanting to put him down there. Actually, the power play lines, yeah, you have Werenski on one and you have Provorov on the other. Like I understand that, but like let's say Provorov's getting cold or Werenski's a little. I'm not Werenski's not gonna get cold, but let's say Provorov's getting a little cold. Like I understand, like maybe you don't want to play him every time, but maybe you just try Jiricek on there a little bit. And I understand you're trying to maybe put Provorov on the power play, get him some points, up his value. But now you're doing it at the detriment of your prospects. And that's the most frustrating part is, again, you can't build teams through just UFA. Like you have to build through the draft. And you have to bring in good guys who can be able to do well. And you're really spoiling this guy. And I will say, Don Waddell is not. He didn't draft Jiricek. He's not like, this is my guy, right? I gotta double down on him. So I understand if you don't want to, if he's not your guy. And clearly there was some frustration. I think it's a little bit with the coach not willing to play and everything, and basically just like rotten in the NHL press box, and that's just no good for anybody. And Jiricek, by the way, this season, by the way, has with the Columbus Blue Jackets 6 games, 1 point. Don't love that. But again, he's new, he's young. I understand that. Like it just takes time to kind of get like your footing set, especially if you're not getting the play time on like meaningful minutes, like with Provorov and Werenski. Like no, what you do is you bring up Jiricek so he can get used to the speed of the game, because he's pretty used to the game last year, right? So he got really used to the game. So he's playing 6 games. Time on ice is 66 minutes. So he's played on average 10 minutes a night. That's a third pair guy, right? So what you do is you send Christensen down and you keep Jiricek up, because then he can getting more used to the speed of the game. You trade Provorov, you move Jiricek up a line, and now like you're good. Like you've gotten your asset for Provorov, and now Jiricek can take over that second pair spot, as well as he can be on the power play too. That should be the plan, right? And with the Cleveland Monster, he had 3 points in 4 games, so he's that's pretty good, and 2 of them are goals, dude. So I'm a little frustrated on how Columbus handled this. Now, saying all that, in my opinion, they won this. And it is my opinion that they won this trade, because that is a lot to pay for David Jiricek. Because it's a high risk. It's a high risk, which could be a high reward, right? And usually people go with, say, hey, whoever gets the better player in the trade, picks the side, right? Picks our unknowns. Whoever gets the better player wins the trade. And I don't believe that. I believe there is value to certain assets. I mean, you're looking at a first, second, third, and fourth round pick for Minnesota, right? They're all going to be later ones because Minnesota is doing phenomenal this year. And if they end up going to the conference finals or something like that, like versus Winnipeg, like it could be 29th overall, which sucks in comparison to the 6th overall you used to get David Jiricek. But again, that's a lot of assets you're paying. And so I'm looking at, okay, so let's go with the other player then. So we're looking at Daemon Hunt, 22-year-old D. So you're getting a D back as well, right? Last year's contract, also Jiricek was in the last year of his contract as well. He only played 1 game with the Wild this year. He was a third pick, 65th overall. So he was the first pick of the 2020 draft. No, Seattle wasn't there. So he's a high 3rd round pick though. So almost a 2nd round pick, right? So looking at, he's been in the AHL for quite a bit, right? So with Moose Jaw back in 21-22, 39 points in 46 games. As a defenseman, pretty good. WHL, he's an overager at that point, really, but still playing well. He goes to Iowa Wild, he gets 11 points, 59 games. That's fine. He's new. 29 points in 51 games with the Iowa Wild in 23-24. Awesome. Ends up getting called up for 12 games with the Minnesota Wild, gets a point, gets an assist, no big deal. I mean, again, getting up to speed and everything. I mean, he's playing 10 minutes a night, right? So you're not getting anything crazy out of him. Goes back down to the AHL at Iowa Wild, 4 points in 9 games, half point per game player, not too bad. Again, he's moving that around this year. Sorry, 4 points in 9 games. Again, only plays 1 game with the Minnesota Wild, and he had 7 minutes. So he did nothing. He was basically a third liner, right? So a guy that definitely is movable for the Minnesota Wild. Again, I think it's just basically a contract. It's a decent contract, but he's a 22-year-old. Again, he still might pop off, but we'll see. Again, I think Jiricek definitely has the higher upside in this case. But to me, you're paying out like a first, a second, a third, and a fourth. Like this feels a lot like in mind you're getting back a fifth, like woohoo. But this feels a lot like what happened with Tanner Jeannot. And Tanner Jeannot was proven, right? Like so they sent Lightning sent out a first, second, third, fourth, fifth round pick, plus they put in a prospect who ended up being part of the sexual assault case. So like it's was it him? I think it was him. It was I take it back. It might not have been part of the Canada Hockey Canada. I apologize. It might not have been him, but his last name was Foot, so I apologize if I mixed it up. Either way, there was a prospect in there, a guy, right, for Tanner Jeannot. So basically, you're doing what you did for Tanner Jeannot for a guy who's unproven in the NHL. We've seen guys that play significantly well in the NHL or AHL who get walked in the NHL. And so this is a big gamble. It's a huge gamble. And again, the nice thing is the cojones on Bill Guerin's is just phenomenal, honestly, because he just has some of the biggest balls in the NHL. Because you know what he does? He makes big swings, right? That Kaprizov one landed. 5th round pick, that absolutely landed. That's looking like a freaking star, dude. Again, I still say it. He's gonna get $14 million a year for 8 years. I talk to me. It's going to happen. Come back and you can quote this video. It's a big gamble, buying out 2 of your franchise stars in Ryan Suter and Zach Parise, and then having to take a huge cap hit, buyout hit for so long, and there's still $14 million on the cap right now. So like, to give you an idea, that's a big swing. You got to have big balls on to do that, right? And they're still being competitive. They're not bottoming out. They didn't bottom out this whole time they had these buyouts. They have missed the playoffs, right? But look at them now, still having 19 points or $14 million on the cap right now. Currently, looking at the standings, they're 32nd behind the Winnipeg Jets with 34 points, and the Jets have 36. And they have a game behind. They have a Minnesota Wild have a game in hand. So they win one. They're actually tied with the Winnipeg Jets, who are leading the league right now. If you look at the whole league, I'm going to go to the league just point standings. I think they're second. They're tied for second with the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils have 3 games in hand. Washington Capitals, Vegas Golden Knights, and Carolina Hurricanes are nipping at their heels, but still they're tied for second. So this is sweet. This is so cool. It is cool to see. It's a huge, again, I just can't emphasize enough how big of a gamble this is. And I understand it's exciting for, it's exciting for the, for the Minnesota Wild fans because you're getting a good prospect like this. And I'm totally for it. I'm totally, absolutely for it. So I'm going to say I like the Columbus side better. I like Jiricek. I'm unsure on him. It's the unproven part. He looks like a good prospect. He looks like a really good prospect. Again, you want guys who want to be here. And if you're not getting along with your staff, again, Don Waddell has no loyalty towards them. The coach doesn't have the new coach. I forget which coach they have. Has no loyalty towards him as well. So I understand that. But I'm just kind of like, what's the plan? You can't let guys get like this all the time. Like you can't just be like, I'll be like the staff, like trade them out. Like, cause you need to build through the draft. You need to pick up good guys, right? Dean Evason, that's who it was. Dean Evason. I think he was also, ironically enough, I'm pretty sure he was the coach of the, where is he? I think he was the coach of the Minnesota Wild at one point, actually. I'm actually very sure of it. It's not showing up right now. Dean Evason. Damn. I wish it showed him, dude. Because I wish it showed his information. Anyways, it's not showing his information right now. But yeah, he was the coach of the Minnesota Wild. I know he was. So it's funny that you might know. You actually might know Damian Hunt, which is maybe the reason they got him back in that trade. So either way, I like I personally love draft picks. I like the ability to choose your guys. I think it's more important. I think it's more important. I mean, getting good prospects is huge. I think it was a huge price to pay. I'm curious what Montreal and Pittsburgh wanted, because like Pittsburgh couldn't afford that price. Nor would they pay it, because you already have, like, again, you have an offensive defenseman like Jiricek. You already have Letang and Carlson. And I understand you need young guys, but like, wrong young guys. Like, because unless you move off Letang or Carlson, then it's not right. But because you have them already, this guy's just gonna get lost in the system. He's gonna want to trade because he's not gonna get the playing time that he wants. And you're not gonna remold this kid as like a defensive defenseman. That'd be a waste of a 5th or 6th overall pick, and the price you had to pay for him. Like, it would be a waste. Like, that would be making no sense, right? But I think Montreal would have made sense. You get some the D's okay there. You have good players in the offense. The D is a little less strong, I'd say, a little bit older. But again, I think that's a huge price to pay. I'd rather be on the Columbus end of this personally. Again, I don't know Jiricek's game well enough to say whether or not. But again, I think now we're looking at Minnesota. They're going to look super good. I do want to say one edit to this. The condition on the first round pick is his top 5 protected, which I think Minnesota is not getting a top 5 protected. Like, they're already so far ahead. Like, they could lose every game. They could lose half the games the rest of the season. They're still not going to bottom out, right? So it's top 5 protected. Again, I think that's a nothing condition. I think they should have done top 10 protected personally, but I think they set up for a top 5 because I think Columbus would have wanted a better draft pick in that case. So again, like, I think I'd rather be on the Columbus side of this. I think Columbus is still in the middle of their rebuild, but again, I don't like how they handled it. Again, I would disagree on how they handled it, because again, Columbus has so many good young stars coming up. You have guys like Kent Johnson. You have guys like like you brought in guys like Sean Monahan who are playing well. Voronkov, you have, who's 24, right? Again, Kent Johnson, Fantilli, Sillinger, right? Like, these guys are all in the similar age bracket. And you bring in like you have Marchenko as well, dude. Like, there's a lot of good players here. Merzlikins a little bit old, so goalie, and you have Jet Greaves in the background. Like, so there's plenty of guys. Chinnikov, like, there's a lot of good guys in this roster that you're bringing up, and you don't have it. Not that I'm not seeing a ton of young defensemen. That's also where I'm confused. Is like, do they have like some guys in? They have Denton Mateychuk. Okay, I'll give you that one. That's a good defenseman there. Again, now they have Daemon Hunt. I don't know who they have in the defense that I really like that I'm super familiar with. Like, they got some 4th or 5th, 6th round picks. They got a 2nd round pick, Elick. Charlie Elick. He's not signed to a contract now. He was a 2nd round pick in 2024. 36 overall, so that's not too bad right there. Currently with the Brandon Wheat King's got 6 points in 20 games. Not as great as you'd like to see it. Again, for a 2nd round pick, I think you like a little bit more production out there. So see for his 4th season WHL, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4th season WHL. You kind of want more than that. But again, he's still adjusting. He's only 18. Oh, so he's 18, right? So he's in WHL, but he's been playing it for a while. But again, he'll probably end up popping off next year again. He's 6'4", so he might be able to pop off. But again, Columbus, I'm just confused. I just don't know what's your plan, and I just don't know. And I don't know how you're planning on getting better, because Columbus has rocking fans. Like, I it's all we hear about them is they sell out games, and they're so much high energy, and Columbus brings it because Columbus doesn't really have much they don't have other teams besides the Blue Jackets. So they rally behind them. It's like in Edmonton, they rally behind the Edmonton Oilers because that's all they got, right? McDavid also helps, right? But anyways, well, they do have Caden Lindstrom. I forgot about him. Oh, we got him 4th overall. I forgot about that. That's good. I just want to check real quick. How is he working out? Because 6'4", dude, 6'4", 4, dude. That is tight right there. 40. He's doing just fine. 20. Oh, this is last year. Oh, he got hurt. So last year he had 46 points in 32 games. 27 of those were goals. Phenomenal. And he had 66 penalty minutes. That's phenomenal. That's hilarious. I love that. So again, Jiricek, I'm happy. It clearly the teams wanted this to work. They made it work. They, Minnesota, and mind you, it is going to be a late first round pick. It's going to be a late second round pick. I mean, even if Minnesota just makes the playoffs and they're out first round, like you're still, it's going to be like a 17, 8, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? Like somewhere in there, 17 to 24 area. So there's an opportunity for them to, get a mid round pick. But I guess the nice thing is that Minnesota has a direction now, right? So I think that's the hardest thing, is that Minnesota is going to have to convince Kaprizov to sign here long term, because there was talks about in the summer about him wanting to sign with Chicago. So I like the fact that Minnesota is like, hey, Kaprizov, hey, you wanted guys. We brought, Brock Faber's really working out, right? You have some, you have like Helen Gron. I can't think of the person's name now. I have to look at the prospects. But you have a lot of good you got a lot of good young guys that are starting to work out. Brock Faber is my favorite. I'm just a big fan of him, honestly. You have Kaprizov. You have, who's, hopefully is there. Boldy, who's looking really good this year. You have Marco Rossi. You brought in Trennan this past year. You have the Foligno brother, not Nick Foligno, Marcus Foligno. Yeah, Marcus Foligno. Middleton's looking great. You extended him. Faber as well. That, and you have Gustafson. So there's a young core starting to come up here. Looking at who else you have. Oh, you have Lauko, who you got in the from the Boston Bruins. Again, now you have Jiricek, you have Ogren, you have Clark. Let's see who else we have here. There's one I'm missing. You have Wallstead. Dude, you have Wallstead coming up too, dude. Phenomenal. I mean, he's gonna be a phenomenal goalie. This is the guy. I can't. Hidet. How do I say his name? Riley Hidet. He was drafted in the second round in 2023. He's one that I've heard a lot of good things about. I'm gonna look it up real quick. But either way, oh yeah, he's doing just fine. In the WHL, he's got 34 points in 19 games. Killer, dude. That's awesome. So again, Minnesota is on their way up. You go, oh yeah, Shai William. Yeah, that is gonna be work out your 12th overall pick from 2024. Sorry, it's not Shai William. Shai William is his brother on the Red Wings. I apologize because I'm used to covering the Red Wings. For Z William, 16 points in 14 games in the NCAA with the University of Denver, who he actually won with the University of Denver last year, the championship. Where he had 50 points in 42 games. So as a defenseman, again, this guy's killing it. They do actually have, again, I'm more impressed. I'm now feeling a lot better about where they're going directionally. And I think that helps Kaprizov see, oh man, like I'm going to be the guy that leads this team into the future. And like I don't know if he'd be captain. I don't know if Kaprizov is captain material. He seems like a really great guy. He's 27 right now. He got this year, the rest of this year and next year. So he can sign July 1st. And I think that is the plan for Bill Guerin, is to sign him as soon as freaking possible and just show, hey, we want to build a team around you. We want to give you 8 years, you and Faber and all that stuff, and we want to bet on you long term. So, and he said we're not going to be outbid. So I think that is huge. That is a huge confidence from Bill Guerin, who is really working to make sure Minnesota doesn't stay in that mushy middle, because they've been tortured for too long. So we're gonna move into a quick couple ad breaks, and then we'll jump into the next bit of news with potentially Ottawa trading Josh Norris, as well as Rangers, who's on the trade block for them. We also have a Preds trade too, so we'll jump into that. So stay tuned. Do you know the most exciting thing about Black Friday and Cyber Monday is getting an amazing deal? Except for with Raycon, because Raycon can get you an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. That doesn't mean they're just having any sales for Black Fridays. No, sir, and or ma'am, and or they. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering viewers up to 30% site-wide. So it's a Black Friday deal that you'll appreciate every day is Raycon's everyday earbuds. And if you haven't checked out the latest model, they're a must-have for audio lovers. They have a 32-hour battery life and a multi-connectivity that lets you pair 2 devices together. And if you're on an airplane, maybe you're there with your spouse or your significant other, you can watch the same movie together and you can listen together. And speaking of airplanes, what's very helpful on airplanes is some noise cancellation, the active noise cancellation that the Raycon's everyday earbuds have. And that, honestly, the great thing about it is they come at an accessible price point, unlike other competitors' headphones. And one other thing is that Raycons are start at just half the price of everyone else. So not only are you getting an incredible deal, but before you even factor in the Black Friday deal, which is up to 30% off site-wide. And if you're looking for a great headphone, what more can you ask for in a headphone? Again, I travel a ton. I use it for work. The noise cancellation is amazing. And if you don't, I highly suggest you go grab some. Again, they're everyday earbuds. Again, you're going to appreciate them every day. And also, they have a 30-day happiness guarantee. So honestly, you really can't lose. It's time to save big for Black Friday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right. You'll get the 30% off everything on a Raycon site when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN. All right, go to the next one real quick, and then we'll jump back. The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. And of course, if you're listening to this, you're probably a Red Wings fan. You can definitely bet the puck line, the total, the money line, how many goals are going to be scored, over or under. Example is most of them are coming up is at like 6. So you can be like over 6 goals or under 6 goals. You can get all the action at Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive award. Bonus bet expires 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice. All right, we are back. Okay, so we got a couple things, and I want to jump. We'll do another quick ad break at the end, but I want to jump into 2 things. One quick news: the PWHL Professional Women's Hockey League starts today. We have they already played earlier today, but it was the Boston Fleet versus the Toronto Scepters. If you're not familiar with Toronto Scepters, it looks like Taylor Swift's cheerleading outfit. Which is why my wife's favorite team is the Toronto Scepters from them. I'm a Montreal fan, Montreal Victoria. Victoria. I always end up saying it wrong, but and I can't be a Boston fan or an Ottawa fan. Minnesota, I like Minnesota, but it feels like it's too late because they already won a championship. In New York, nah, I'm good. New York, I like their jerseys. I like their goalie setup is sick. But again, I'm gonna go with the Montreal because I'm French. I'm learning French. I am French by genetically, but I am my last name, but I am learning French. So that is one thing. The PWHL, you go check them out. If you're in Canada, I believe they're available on Amazon. And if you're my apologies. If you're in United States, you can watch them on YouTube for free, which is awesome. You can watch the live games. So move on to the next part. We do have a trade. The Preds. Supposedly the Predators are open for business, which is concerning because they made all these pickups. You pick up a guy like Marcia Show. You pick up a guy like Steven Stamkos, Brady Shea. You sign. You're like, okay, we're gonna double down on UC Saros, which I think that's a good bet, right? But you're like, when you're starting to make some trades, you start getting a little concerned. I'll be honest. So I'm trying to pull up the trade right now. It is not pulling up right now, but I know who it is. It's Scott Wedgewood from the Minnesota. Goodness gracious, I'm talking about the Wild. I'm talking about Predators and Wild here. The Predators. And so what's happening is the Pred traded Scott Wedgewood to the Colorado Avalanche for what's his name? Justus Annunen and a 2025 5th round pick. Okay. And the reason that's a big deal is because you have a guy, Colorado is definitely looking for goaltending. And they just signed Scott Wedgewood to this deal this past year, which I think is crazy that they're already changing him. He's considered like a backup goalie, right? He signed a 2-year deal with them, $1.5 million for the year. And showing up as NHL stats this year, he got 5 games played, 3.69 goals against. That's not good. And a .877 or .8 7, 8, which is not good either, right? And then we're looking at, and he's, by the way, he's also 32. So when you're looking at the guy who's 32 and you're trading for him, you're like, oh, dude, like goaltending must be really hurting, especially for a guy when you're trading out Justus Annunen, who is 24 years old as a goalie, played 11 games this year, 3.23 goals against average, and a .872. Like, he's a young kid. He's a young prospect, which is by the way, is it's so ironic that like Nashville trades out a guy like Askarov, gets great deal for him, by the way. He gets a first round pick, gets a first round Vegas first round prospect from 2023. And they got one other guy too. And then there's, Red Wings, San Jose got like a third round pick, or they, traded back out like a third round pick. And it was a great, it was a, they got a lot back. I'll be honest. They got a good chunk back. They're probably end up getting Vegas's pick because it's gonna be so low. But it's funny that they now trade for a young goalie, who is definitely he'll be there for a long time. He'll be basically the backup for Saros if he's good enough and he performs. And he's 6'4", 209 pounds. Like, he's probably going to be pretty good. So, so it's kind of a desperation move by Colorado to make this, because you're like, oh, dude, like this guy is not working out. Neither of your goalies are working out. Actually, we'll even go to what their goaltending looks like right now, because you still have Georgiev, who you have signed for a bit. And mind you, these guys won a cup in 2022. They also don't have a first round pick either. This upcoming year. So you kind of are like, okay, what do we do with, like, and they have so many injuries. I'm scrolling through right now. Landy, which you already expected. You have Ross Colton's on IR. Miles Wood's on IR. You have Tucker Pullman. So again, you're greeting guys back right now, but it's not super great. Again, now you have Georgiev, and you have Wedgewood now. So okay, you're starting to make some changes here. I'm actually going to pull up their full-blown stats. If they're showing their team stats, where are you at, bro? Depth chart? No, team info? I apologize. I'm pulling this up right now. Of course it's not showing it. That's annoying. Anyways, their full team stats. Where are you at? Anywho, so Colorado they're hurting. They are absolutely hurting right now. And it's frustrating because you're like, you got guys like Lehkonen, McKinnon, you got Nichushkin back. That's good too. Kovalenko. Okay, who's that playing your left side, right? Your left side is Kiviranta, Kovalenko, and Proshkashkov. I don't even know who you are, bro. Who are you? You're a 20-year-old. You're the 7th round pick that they picked, which is crazy, by the way. He's a 7th round pick in 2024. Like, he just got here. Where was he playing before? Was he playing in juniors? Or was he playing in the A? I think he might have been playing. Oh, he's playing in the A. So 6 points in 12 games. And suddenly he's like, oh, you're done. You're caught up here now. Which is just crazy. So to me, I don't know if this is a trade that they needed to make. I mean, clearly they needed to make a change because Georgiev is not working out for them. And if I just go to Georgiev real quick, let's pull him up, because they got 1 year left in Georgiev. So they're like, okay, we need a guy for next year as well. And he's considered a 1A basically. In 15 games, he has 3.33 goals against average and a .872. That's just not good. That's just not good at all. And so, I mean, they're definitely gonna let this guy walk because he's not playing up to stuff. And he didn't play up to stuff last year. He played 60. Mind you, he played 63 games. I think that's just overplaying him at that point. And he played him 62 games in 2023, 22, 23. He played well. He played very well. With 23, 24, played 63 games, even a game extra. To me, dude, I just don't know if he is the guy. He's just not the guy, really. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you do? Like, I don't know. Do they have anyone on the pipeline? Like, and if they do, he's not he's not ready right now. If we go to the pipeline, let's even go to and we're gonna go real quick to the Avs. Go to the depth chart. We're on Puckpedia, pulling them up right now. Goaltenders in the let's see, they got defense. Here's goaltenders. They got 2 guys that are RFAs. They're non-roster. I mean, I don't know who these guys are. Like, if they were doing something, like, we might have heard of them. Trent Miner and Kevin Mandolese. I mean, they're cool. Like, these guys are like a 6th round pick and a a 6th-round pick, and a 7th-round pick, like from 2019 and 2020. So like again, guys that just aren't killing it. One of them's already played a game, and he played really well. But he's playing with the Colorado Eagles right now. He's playing really well with the Colorado Eagles. That's Trent Miner. We go to Kevin Mendolese. He came up for a game, but he didn't end up playing a game. He's doing well in the minors too in the AHL. Like, so you have guys. So maybe you're just like waiting. You're just kind of waiting it out at this point. You don't want to ruin your goalie prospects. I can see that. Like, you like let the two guys like kind of cook in the AHL, but it's just like a weird trade. And also, I'm talking about like the Colorado. This is even the weirdest part of the trade. We're talking about Nashville. Nashville's starting to sell. Like, who are you selling? Like, so the free agents who are up and coming, right? I'm looking at it right now. You have Gus Nyquist. That's probably you're not gonna get much for him because he's older too. Luke Evangelista. I think you could get a good chunk for him. I think he's probably your best asset. Juuso Parisian and Adam Wilsby. I don't know who Adam Wilsby is, but let's talk about Adam Wilsby real quick. 24-year-old. He's only played 2 games. 4th-round pick in 2020. Probably maybe they'll resign him for men. He's waiverable basically. Juuso Parisian, 23-year-old. 13 games, 5 points. Not terrible. As a center, like maybe a 4th-line center. Okay, you might sign him. You're not gonna get much for him either. Okay. So let's go to Luke Evangelista. Again, probably your guy you're going to get the most for at 22 years old. 22 games, 9 points as a right winger. Again, I think, are you going to get like, is he playing bad, or is it because the Nashville Predators bad? Like, what is the goal? And mind you, and the thing is, the nice thing with the Preds is that if you want to move someone, you can retain, because you know why you can retain? You have $7.2 million, or projected cap space at the end of the year is going to be $5.2 million. So like, you have cap space to be able to work with. But like, who would you trade? Like, what's the goal here, guys? Again, it goes back to what's the goal? They are playing poorly, and supposedly, again, Barry Trotz said, "Hey, nope, we're open for business. Trade them all." And I could see you guys trading maybe Ryan O'Reilly. I could see that, but does he have a no move clause? Like, let's check out his status. Look, I gotta go. Let's go back here. We're gonna go back to the front page. So I think he might. And mind you, also to let you know, the Preds have 3 first round and 2 second-round draft picks this year. They have their own. They have the Tampa Bay Lightning one, and it'll end up being Vegas Golden Knights, right? So I'm looking at some guys that you're not trading. Philip Forsberg, Steven Stamkos, or Marchessault. Like, those guys aren't they're not going anymore. You might be able to trade Marchessault. He has a 15-team no trade clause, but I don't think you want to do it that quickly already. Ryan O'Reilly has no trade protection, so you could trade him. I think he's gone. Tommy Novak, you might trade him as well. Nyquist is gone. Colton Sisson, I think you'll keep him. But like, guys who are going to have like the most value, like, you also want to keep some guys. You're not going to trade Alex Carrier. You just got him. Luke Shen, you might be willing to trade him. Like, I don't know. Like, there's not much to be able to trade. They're not playing good enough to. And some of these guys have long contracts. Like, you got to be like, hey, like Ryan O'Reilly, we could trade for you. It's like, yeah, but you got for the next 2 years, and he's already 33, and not that he's bad now. But is he going to be good for the rest of his? Is he going to be good? Continue to be good? I mean, like, let's pull up their stats. Going on to ESPN now, because Puckpedia is a little hard to navigate when you're looking at all the stats. A great website, huge for contracts, big fan of it. Puckpedia is phenomenal. And so looking at the guys, Ryan O'Reilly, 13 points in 24 games. Like, he's just not that like good right now. Is it the goal? Is it him, or is it the team? Because that's what you have to recognize. You're like, oh, is it a bad team, or is it a bad system right now? Like, you bring all these guys in, and there's not meshing, and they're not meshing. Like, and Marshall's not scoring, Stamkos isn't scoring. The only one that's really producing really well, expectedly, 20 points in 24 games, which is still under what he normally does, is Yossi. Put up 25 minutes a night. Philip Forsberg, 17 points in 24 games. Again, you kind of want more out of him. You should expect a point per game out of him. Zachary Leroux, I like him a lot. His 5 points in 19 games. Again, he's playing 10 minutes a night, so he's doing well for a guy who shouldn't be. He's not playing a ton. So again, what are you going to get for some of these guys? I think Ryan O'Reilly is the only one you're going to get good value for because he's a really good third line center. He's a first line center on Nashville. He's a phenomenal third line center. I know Toronto keeps talking about wanting him back and everything, but I don't think he likes Toronto, so we'll see. But anyways, we're gonna we'll jump in the next one. We'll talk about Ottawa and the Rangers after this, and so stay tuned. And yeah, like, comment, by the way. We're in our, just so you know, we're in our 17th day of doing videos every day for the rest of the year till we did one on Thanksgiving. Drop one then. We drop one for your Short Kings video. Hey, who's the NHL? Who's each team's Short King? Who's which team should be thankful for each team at this point in the season? And we'll be doing one on Christmas Eve, and we'll do one on Christmas Day, and every day until the end of the year. So stay tuned after this break, and we'll talk about Rangers. The 24-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. And of course, if you're listening to this, you're probably a Red Wings fan. You can definitely bet the puck line, the total, the money line, how many goals are going to be scored over or under. Example is most of them are coming up is at like 6. So you can be like over 6 goals or under 6 goals. I mean, you can get all the action at Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive award. Bonus bet expires 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice. All right, we're back at it. So again, we are talking about the Ottawa Senators. There's one team that is looking, again, I'm going to do a whole video on this. There's a quadrant, okay? There is, and actually it's usually 4 sections, and it's like, and I think you could argue it could be 9 sections, but basically you're like, it's like the genetics table where you have like, it's like, plan to be bad, are bad. Plan to be bad, are good. Plan to be good, are bad. Plan to be good, are good, right? Like, so there's like the coordination, right? So you have a team like, example, like, and that's where I said there can be kind of the 9 section. You could be like, plan to be good, plan to be mid, plan to be bad. Plan to be good, plan to be mid, plan to be mad or bad. Like, like that variation. So to me, Ottawa was, hey, plan to be mid to like good and try and make the playoffs, right? Because you make a trade like the Allmark trade, you're like, we're trying to be good. And so you look at the standings of what they're doing right now, and it's just not working for them. They're currently second to last in the Eastern Conference with 21 points, 22 games. And mind you, again, by points percentage, they're better than most of the teams, but by points percentage, they're better than like the Islanders and Penguins, and they're better than Montreal. But that's not really good company. Islanders kind of flailing, Pittsburgh is flailing, Montreal Canadiens, I don't think they're planning on being this bad, but I think that they're planning on being better, right? Because I think all these teams are trying to be good. There's teams that are clearly trying to be good in the Atlantic, right? Because like you have like Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo were all trying to be good. They're trying to like, oh, by the way, Buffalo's already out of a playoff spot. Holy smokes, that happened quickly. Holy Jesus. Like Buffalo was planning to be good. Red Wings were planning to be good. And Ottawa's all planning to be good. It's like, well, y'all can't be good at the same time. Because there's a couple teams called Florida, Toronto, Tampa, Boston and everything. So yeah, like to me, like I just don't see it. Like I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't know if I see it happy, but basically what they're talking about is potentially trading. I almost said Josh Norris. There's talks. And I would say not that they want to trade him, but I think that there's more that They are looking at a guy who's traditionally fairly injury prone, and you're kind of like, okay, like, do we want him as a long-term solution? And Josh Norris, he actually has trade protection. I mean, he's got a long contract. He's here till 2030 is what he signed till. So you're looking at a guy like Josh Norris, where okay, like, is he going to be good long term? And he's only in year 3 of an 8-year contract, so he'll be 31 when this contract ends. Also, he was originally a San Jose Shark, and he got traded. I forgot about that. Mind you, he's playing well this year. It's 15 points in 22 games. It's a 0.68 points per game. It's about 7 points every 10 games. Last year he had 30 points, 50 games. And for a guy that's making $8 million, I don't know if you want that. But you can see he's performed well in his first 2 years with the Ottawa Senators. More full years. He had 35 points in 56 games. He had 55 points in 66 games, which is awesome. And then he got hurt in 22-23, 8 games, 3 points in 8 games. And then comes back in 23-24. Again, hurt again. 30 points in 50 games. So you're getting about a not even 60-point production. He hasn't hit 60 points yet. But you're getting a guy who give you 60 points per, a year on average. Right now he's trending towards, 15 points in 22 games. He's trending towards, the way you do the math, by the way, is you want to try and figure it out. You do how many points they have, 15, divided by how many games they played, 22 games, and over 82 games times 82, 55.9, so 56 points. He's on trend to do 56 points in a 56 points this year. So you're like, okay, dude, you're 25. Like, you're kind of in your prime. Like, you should be doing better than this. And you're making $8 million. So that may be one where they maybe have to eat a little bit to kind of like he could work out, right? But like, he might not. And he doesn't look like he's working out as well as they would like him to. And you're like, okay, like, but who do you have to replace him? Like, you need to be able to get something back for him as well. He's currently a 2C. And when it comes to their depth chart, so Julian McKenzie, who is a beat writer for, I think he's a senior writer at this point, for the Ottawa Senators. They don't got much going for their center depth. You got Pinto and Stützle. That's really all you got. Again, Giroux can play, but he's not a long-term solution. You guys who are going to be long-term solutions here, and looking at their forward group, Zach McEwen, no. I think it's Adam Highmore, no. Like, you don't really have it. Alex Chase on, that's his brother though. There's not much on the forward depth that you're like super stoked about. That really could work out. Like, I'm looking at this. It's not really. You don't have much, and again, the writer talking about them doesn't really have it either. Like, he's like, not really impressed. So, do you want to trade away a center without getting someone back? And again, you're given a depreciating asset at 25 years old, and he might pop off in another organization. We saw this with Mikael Granlund. He's playing so well, again, older player, playing so well with the San Jose Sharks. Goodness gracious, I could not think of him. So Josh Norris is one that I'm like, okay, I could see them moving him. But who do you move him to? Because the problem is there's no team that's really intentionally trying to be bad. A team that I could see taking him on, Chicago. Chicago could take him on. Chicago and Anaheim, I would say the only two that I would say that they're intentionally trying to be bad. But you're going to be sending, in my opinion, to do something like that. Like, let's assume Anaheim, who doesn't have a ton of. I don't know how their center depth look, but they have pieces that they want to trade. And they could take on his salary cap too, which is the huge part. So if we're going to like their depth chart and seeing who they can play, like who they want, who's a guy that they want long term. So you have McTavish, Strome, Lundstrom. Oh, you do have Leo Carlson as well. So Strome, but McTavish, you're going to probably end up extending. But do you want Josh Norris playing 3C? Not really, not for $8 million. You don't. So like. And maybe Strome's older, so maybe Strome moves down to like a third line center. He's working out. I think he's playing really well. He's 31, so he's at 10 points, 22 games. I think Strome's better as a third line center, and maybe put Norris at second line center with the Anaheim Ducks. That would work out. And then you could trade for someone again. You got to think about like the long term of what they're looking to do. So like you trade for like Janice Harkinson as like a second line center, like that's not your like long term solution. And then maybe you pick up like a guy. I think they're looking for defensemen. Like you look up for Cam Fowler, is a guy that he's injured right now, but I know that there are people who were checking in on him. Robbie Fabry can play center, but he's not really a center. He's better as a winger. Like who is? I guess Fabry might work out. I could see that. Let's say you trade for Cam Fowler. So you do Josh Norris and a first round pick for Cam Fowler and Fabry. I mean, maybe something along that might work. Or maybe you take on a guy just like not trading for Cutter. You maybe take back Frank Vetrano, but then you're setting more than that. Like you're setting more than just that. I think you're doing like a first, second for Vetrano because realistically they can get a first round pick for Cam Fowler and a first round pick for Vetrano. Norris is kind of like a depreciating asset in this case. He's 25 years old, should be in his prime. He's not playing that way, injury prone, but he's a bet, right? So again, this might be a bet that like Columbus might take instead. So I'm unsure. Like I said, but I think that there's an option for him to be traded to someone who's not great, who's willing to take a risk. What I think would be great if they had the cap space would be Pittsburgh Penguins. I think that would make a ton of sense because it's a young guy. He's expensive. Let's play that out instead. I like that better because I think that would make more sense for both teams. Again, you're trading within conference, which is not ideal. So you don't want that to come bite you in the butt. But if you're looking at guys you could trade, because the thing is I think Ottawa doesn't need young guys. They do need they need their prospects, of course, but I think they want some depth. So who's a center that they can get? Malkin would be great, right? Clearly Crosby would be phenomenal as well. But maybe you do Cody Glass is the guy they're taking a chance on. I think Noel Chari, that could be one. Although he has an 8-team no trade list, so I think that's probably the Canadians on that. Typically, 7-team no trade clauses are the Canadians. He has 8, so this is like being another team he doesn't want to be traded to. Philip Tomasino, they just traded for him, so they don't want to trade him. Who's a guy that could play center and wing? Maybe you do like a Brian Rust. Brian Rust would be great next year. That would be a good I think Brian Rust would be a good one for them. A good veteran. You could trade for him next year, but that's not this year. This year it'd be a little bit tough. Maybe I know they're looking for a defenseman who would be a great defenseman. It'd be great if they got Carlson. That'd be sick. I'd be so mad. Erik Karlsson, my favorite player outside of the Red Wings organization. And I'd be so mad if Ottawa, who's a team that I dislike greatly, along with Boston and Chicago, that if they got Erik Karlsson, which would make sense as a homecoming because he really liked playing for Senators, which would be so frustrating. But I can see, that would be a phenomenal deal. I think Norris is a higher upside. Erik Karlsson might actually approve a deal to there. I could definitely see that. And help raise these young kids. I could absolutely see that. And again, they're looking for a defenseman already. Doesn't really solve their center issue. But you move off of, like I said, a Noel Chari or something like that. Noel Chari, Kevin Hayes. I don't think you really get, or you would want him either. Do all these guys have modified no trade clauses? Maybe Blake. There you go. Let's go. Blake Lizotte, lower upside, but he's 26, so he's in that range. So, how is he playing? I think he's probably playing third or fourth liners. 9 games. So he's played well when he's here. 3 goals in 9 games. He's played well, but his time on ice, even strength, time on ice, he's getting 8 and almost 9 minutes a night. So, goals per game, goals per 60 is 1.5. So, he's playing really well right now. So, what's his time on ice right now? Let's look at his stats real quick. With Pittsburgh Penguins, 80. So, he's played 9 games. So he's playing 10 minutes a night. So, he's a fourth line guy, but third, fourth line guy. So, that's something there. Again, there's something here. Norris could hit, he could not. But I think an Erik Karlsson for like a Norris would something like that would actually work. I'm okay with that. Let me know what your thoughts are. We're actually not gonna hit the Rangers today. We've talked about before. So, I mean, you have Kreider for the Rangers, Kreider, Zibanejad, and Trouba are trying to be moved. Kreider and Trouba both have 15 team no trade clauses. So, where are they going to go? I mean, there's a lot of people that have a call about them, but we don't know who they have on the trade lists. All we know for pretty sure is Trouba has Detroit because they wanted to trade him last season, but he would not waive his full no move clause. But now it's dropped under a 15 team no trade clause. So Zibanejad has a full no move clause for quite a while. So you have to approve a deal there. And so, which means they're not going to get the value that they want for him back. So, anyways, let me know what your thoughts are. Hit like, subscribe. And I really appreciate you sticking around. Thanks for letting me babble for a little bit. And we'll catch you tomorrow in the next one. Love you all. Good night and bye.